And welcome back to Ringside Report Radio. I am Dave Simon. Kevin the Big Tuna McKough is with me. It is our great pleasure to be joined by former Dream Light Heavyweight Champion, former Strikeforce Light Heavyweight Champion, one of the best in the game today, direct from Holland, Mr. Gegard Mousasi. Gegard, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a great pleasure to speak with you, Gegard. You have a huge fight coming up January 12th against McKough. We've seen you sporadically over the past year. You having some injury problems. How is your knee? How are you feeling going into the fight?
Well, I'm 100%. Training is going very well. So 12th January, I will be ready. So it's not going to be any problem.
Now, this fight between you and McKough has been scheduled and rescheduled. Are you excited to finally get into the ring there with McKough? Is he somebody you want to test yourself against?
Well, I'm excited to fight again, and McKough is a good name. There's not a lot of guys that's still in the Strikeforce at 205. There's Fejao, but he's suspended, so the only fight that makes sense is McKough. So I'm happy to able to fight a big fight like that.
And as far as looking past McKough a little bit, the UFC obviously looming. It seems like it's going to be the last event for Strikeforce in January. Is it a certainty that you will go to the UFC after this next Strikeforce fight?
No, there's nothing discussed yet, but my manager has good connections with the UFC, and the way it sounds, it's a big possibility that I will go to UFC after this fight.
And is this something that you want? Is this your goal right now, is to get into the octagon?
Yeah, for sure. This fight first. I want to end this fight impressively, and I want to go because if I go to UFC, I need maybe a good couple wins, and I could be a contender for the title. So every fight is a final fight. It's a very important fight from now on. So I'm thinking that way, and I'm approaching these fights like that. So every fight is important, and I would love to go and to fight these UFC fighters.
Now, we've seen you compete for years in Dream, in Pride before that, in Strikeforce now. Has the UFC always been an eventual goal for you? Has it always been something you wanted to do, or is that something kind of more now because there are fewer options outside of the UFC, that the UFC is kind of the best place for a fighter right now?
Well, I think UFC is the biggest stage, and that's the goal of every fighter, to be on the biggest stage. And back then, I was thinking to build myself up a little bit before I could go, because to build my name up. I think I did that, and I think this is the right time to go to UFC. So I think timing is important, and I think now is the time.
As the first Dream light heavyweight and middleweight champion, were you sad to see that the promotion went under some financial trouble and possibly was out of business?
Well, of course, I always enjoyed fighting in Japan. It's a different experience than fighting in US. But I believe they have restarted again, and they're gonna have a show on New Year's Eve. So, but I think I've done what I needed to do, and I think now is the time to go to UFC. But I'm happy that Dream is continuing, because they always have some very exciting fights.
Yeah, how much do you know about that next Dream card? It's very exciting. They have a 16-man kickboxing tournament featuring some really all-time greats in K1. Are you paying attention to that at all? Are you interested in that tournament?
Afterwards, but I'm now only focused on my fights. Afterwards, I will probably see the fights who's continuing to the final 8. But at this moment, there was some talk for me to fight on New Year's Eve, actually. But this fight came along in Strikeforce, so this fight is more important to. So I took this one, and after this, because there was some talk that I still would fight in Dream, but no, I think that's out of the table. So, yeah.
So you're focused now strictly on Strikeforce, strictly on fighting in the United States. Now we're speaking to you. You're in Holland right now. Has there been any plan to move to the United States and kind of join one of those big camps over there, or are you going to stick to where you live?
I'm going to come after this fight. I'm going to take a rest 1 or 2 weeks, and I want to come to the U.S. to train without any pressure of being in a training for a fight. I have the difference between now is I have really good trainers now. I have sparring partners. So I have actually a good training camp now here. So I didn't feel like it was necessary to go to US. Otherwise, I would have done it. But I think now this is the best choice that I made. So and the training camp is going well. I just had my sleep, so I can go to my next training.
And as far as that training camp, we've heard you speak recently about never actually having a full training camp for a fight. How true are those words? I mean, is this really the first training camp that you've had for a fight?
Yeah, I think people didn't understand. I didn't understand what I was actually saying. What I meant was, of course, everyone trains for his fights, but I don't believe I actually trained well with real trainers and real training partners that come specially to train with you. I didn't have a really good training camp, and this is the first time I really have that. People, I always trained, of course, but for many years I was training without any trainers. So this is the first time I have trainers that are pushing me. I have conditioning and strength trainer. I have a stand-up trainer. I have a wrestling trainer. So I'm doing everything now correct, but I think people misunderstood what I said, and of course you train for a fight, but I don't think I did the correct thing, and that's what I'm doing now. So I get a lot of confidence from that. So going into the fight, I'm certain that I'm going to win.
And of course, one of the fights that you've won before against Hector Lombard, did you hear that Lombard actually said something about those comments? He took offense because you had defeated him, and he felt like, hey, you were maybe insulting him a little bit with those comments. I think maybe he misunderstood. Did you see that Lombard said, hey, he wanted a rematch now with you with the training camp?
Well, Hector Lombard is a little bit arrogant guy, I believe, and he can believe it or not, but the fight, when I fought him, I was, in the mornings, it was my training camp. You can believe it or not, but in the mornings I would do running, Monday to Friday, and in the evening it was all sparring. That was my whole training camp when I fought him. Because before him, I lost to Gono, so I split with my trainer. So that's the way I trained for him. So he can talk all he wants, but that was the case. So yeah, but he has a big mouth anyway. So.
And would you like to give him a rematch, or is that not anything you're interested in?
At this moment, I'm fighting at 205. If he wants, it doesn't make any sense to fight him now, and also for him, I don't believe it makes any sense. Yeah. But who knows in the future? If I go to 185, it could be a good fight.
How difficult would that cut be for you to go back down to 185?
I don't know. I right now at 2014, 2012 pounds, I believe.
Okay.
I think 214, 260 I weigh pounds. So it's possible to go to middleweight. I don't know how the American fighters do those big weight cuts, but if I have a good nutrition, it would be possible. But I don't believe it could even affect my performance, because at 205 I feel now good. So, but it all depends about the results. So if I don't perform well, I will try at 185. But as long as the performance are good at 205, I won't go down.